Jokes aside. So, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming. I hope you get a little bit of an outside time today before we get some of the rains from Northeastern starting tomorrow, I think. So it looks like a very wet, rainy weekend here in our neck of the woods. Okay, so I will keep it very short, and here's why. Because Chris, as usual, has tennis game at 2:30, and we definitely don't want to interfere with his wellness practice, his physical activity. So I'm gonna take about 5 minutes. Chris, is that okay? 20 minutes should be enough. See here? I think hopefully he's here. Okay. Hopefully he'll be here in a couple of minutes. And then what we'll do is we'll resume some of the conversation later because I have a pretty interesting topic today if we get to it. If we don't get to it, we'll do it later. There's a new study talking about that exercise is not the way to lose weight, and I'm going to critique the study. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. If I don't get to that, I'll promise you we'll figure this out. I may record the video separately and then longer video and then do a little summary next week or whenever. Okay, so COVID. Don't have any specific updates on the COVID. However, there's a really important update on the recent study that was published in JAMA just, I think, few weeks ago, maybe even a few days ago. So, and basically, I'm gonna put a link in it. Actually, it's been published 2 days ago. My apologies. I thought it was published last week. I must have looked at the wrong place. So I'm putting the study in the chat. Feel free to check it out. So what is the scope of the study? So a year ago, this is the last year's booster, not this year's booster. So this is 2024-25 booster, not 25-26, which is we're in the season off. So really good study. Basically, the researchers did the following. They took participants who had a vaccine, age matched them against those who didn't, and this was all done within the Veterans Affairs Hospital, and then they system, sorry, and then they looked into what happens with results and how much of the serious consequences or serious complications of COVID can the vaccine save as of the last year, right? So this is not this year's cohort. And if you look at what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just share my screen. So I think that's just going to be easier that way. So in case you are not at home or you can see this this way, I will just show you this. So what I'm going to draw your attention here is a couple of tables. So this is the first one. So if you look at the departure, emergency room visits, hospital deaths, and composite outcome, what you're going to see here that basically, if you have no COVID vaccine, right, you can see that every serious complication was substantially higher compared to if you do. And it seemed to like it didn't matter. So what the important point here is, why I think the study is so important. We knew already that serious complications vaccines are pretty good at, that the protection lasts for quite a while. We also know that vaccines protection did not last to just not get the COVID at all, did not last for more than just a couple of weeks, somewhere between 4 to 8 weeks, and the effect was completely out. And we already knew that, so that wasn't new. But what's really new is this, that and what particularly I'm drawing your attention with these graphs is the continuous not reaching the plateau. So at 6 months, 180 days, the benefit continued to gradually uptick. So you can see how both of these lines seem to be continuous. So putting that into consideration, you can basically say, okay, so chances are there is a continuation beyond 6 months. Okay, so now what does this mean? If all these critical benefits are continuously, well, it means that CDC is wrong and I'm right. That's what it means. This is the study that basically, in essence, affirms what I've been telling everybody. Once a year boosters are okay. Right. You don't have to get them every 6 months, which is what CDC was trying to push people for. There's no evidence for that. This is an evidence that's saying 6 months and not a limit here. There's a continuous uptick in the protection, and you don't expect this to end at 6 months and 2 days or whatever. So this is the value. Let me go back to the article and I'll show you a couple other things. So important, the most important point, that was my you know, kind of a self-proclaimed benefit for me. But for you, here's what I want to point out. Um, why is I'm not seeing the top of this? Hold on a second. I thought that, oh, okay, there's nothing else here. Okay. So the other really important point is look at the degree of protection. So if you put the overall average efficacy in all comers, somewhere at around 30%, that's a composite protection. So the 30% decrease in serious side effects or in serious complications of COVID. But if you look at the people who are over 65 and over 75, there's a pretty substantial difference here. So this number right here, you're seeing my arrow, my pointer? You guys seeing my pointer? Can somebody nod? Okay. All right. So you can see that this number was sitting somewhere close to 30%, but the numbers here were substantially higher. So from here to here, they're almost 10, like 7 or 8% difference. So basically, the older you are, the more protection you get. That's basically the story here. And the story seems to correlate across the board for everything. It didn't matter whether this was hospitalization, ER visits, or deaths. Now, let me show you the actual numbers because I think it's sort of important. I think the way, let me see if I can actually pull up the, yeah, so this is the actual numbers. Why is this important? Well, I think I need to make it a little bit smaller to fit. Okay, so these are the percentages, what you're seeing on top here, and let's just take deaths, for example. This is the percent efficacy. So for the average percent efficacy protection against death, the last year's shot protected people by 64%. But look at the absolute numbers. In the group that had, and this is the risk versus no risk. So people who had no risk, risk in no COVID vaccine group, they had 3.5 people per 10,000 people dying. And the vaccine cut that as promised by 64% down to 1.25. So basically, vaccine saved 2 lives roughly for every 10,000 shots or for every 10,000 people. You can think of this number as, what does that mean? Well, I mean, it's 2 lives out of 10,000. So the number needed to treat is pretty large. What does this mean? Number needed to treat is the most important statistical way of expressing efficacy and cost effectiveness of the treatment. If your number needed to treat is huge, like 10,000, for example, definitely no one would apply a treatment like this because it's going to be cost prohibitive. But for example, for blood pressure, number needed to treat could stand somewhere between 20 to 100. So you would need to treat 100 people to save one complication or one life. Here, obviously, numbers are much higher, but again, that's we talking about vaccine protection. However, look at some of these other complications. We're looking at completely different numbers. So for the top one, I think was emergency departments. Now let's keep that. Let's look at the hospital. Yeah, hospital outcomes. So basically, and this correlates quite accurately with what we're seeing. For 10,000 people, only 20 will end up in a hospital if you didn't take vaccine, and roughly 11 or say close to 10 will end up in a hospital if they had a vaccine. So here your hospitalization chances were halved roughly, 40%, they say. And that translated to 10 saved hospital stays for 10,000 patients, so 1 per 1,000. And that's true. I mean, I've probably had maybe last year 200 patients sick with COVID. No one ended up in a hospital, right? But I needed to get 1 in 1,000 to get one patient in a hospital. So, this is all nice and good. I think it's a very important data. Does say that I will continue advocate for anybody over 65, regardless whether you have other problems or not, to get the shot every year, but only once a year. And now we have a concrete numbers to share with you as to what you would expect the benefit of the vaccine be in the concrete numeric values. Now, will this translate to today's data in terms of the new boosters? They'll have to repeat the study next year. And with that, I'm gonna stop. I'm a couple of minutes over, but that's okay. We'll give Chris at least 15 to 20 minutes. So Chris, take us on the journey of what is this called? Swedish.
Yeah. Okay. So Misha, thank you so much, and I welcome everybody. I'm going to talk about death cleaning. It's the same, which is the same as decluttering. I'll explain that in a minute. I want to start by saying, like most people, I've suffered from clutter all my life, and I know how hard it is to declutter. It's not easy. Um, Clutter makes me feel overwhelmed and stressed. The more clutter I have, the less happier I am. And as you all know, decluttering or death cleaning means sifting through stuff and tossing out what is no longer needed. It's the process of getting rid of junk and excess possessions. Only useful and meaningful things are left. So now you might be here, you might be here today because for any number of reasons. Perhaps you're downsizing, but perhaps it's time to simplify your life. Perhaps the stress from your clutter is making you physically sick. Perhaps the clutter is causing friction in your relationships. Perhaps your home is uncomfortably crowded. Perhaps you don't want to burden your survivors, your loved ones, with a big mess when you die. Or maybe guests are coming and coming to stay, and you're embarrassed by the cluttered state of your home. Whatever prompted you to be drawn to this talk today, I hope you'll find one or two things in my talk that will resonate and help you get started. I encourage you to have a paper and pencil handy so you can make notes of things that you think you might like to do. So get ready to capture if you get an idea comes into your head, something you want to do, note it down. Don't let it disappear. But you don't have to write down what I'm saying because I'm going to send you through Janet and Misha. I'm going to send you my prepared remarks, which are far more extensive than the time I have to orally talk to you this morning. So look out. So Janet, I'm going to send you my talk, my prepared remarks, and if you could please send it on to everybody, and please everybody take a look at that. That's your homework. Take a look at my prepared remarks because they contain a lot more information on how to death clean, how to declutter. Okay, so as I say, decluttering aims to create a home filled with purpose, comfort, and relaxation, giving us more time to spend on what really matters to us, our relationships and projects that give our lives meaning and purpose. Tolerance for clutter. I want to acknowledge this. Tolerance for clutter is on a spectrum, and we all fall into different places on that spectrum. What strikes one person as intolerable clutter might seem acceptable to another. We're all different and must be patient with each other and respectful. Okay, so eliminating clutter puts us in control, brings better focus to our lives, and makes it easier to be organized. Everything we own, this is important, everything we own should have a home in our house or apartment where we can always find it. That's important. Okay, this means that if we're looking for the TV remote, if we're looking for a memo, if we're looking for a wallet, if we're looking for the grocery list, if we're looking for the vacuum, a screwdriver, a letter from a friend, we know where it is because it has a home, and we can find it with little effort. This is very important. Death cleaning is another word, as I've already mentioned, for decluttering. It means that after our death, our loved ones don't have to spend weeks, months, or even years being angry and irritated at us for leaving a mess. We don't want that to happen. We want them to grieve for us, not to be angry at us for leaving a crowded house. So decluttering and death cleaning is an act of kindness. It's an act of kindness and generosity to those we leave behind when we die. It's a loving gift to die with our attic, our garage, our basement, our bookshelves, our closets, and so on, having them all organized or cleared out. The brutal truth is that our children or nieces or nephews or probably won't want our furniture. They won't want our fancy china. They won't want our antique paintings. If you're holding on to items to pass on to the next generation, ask your heirs if they want them. And be prepared for them to say no and be gracious if they do. They will likely want small things that carry emotional value, such as select pieces of jewelry or a poignant handwritten letter from a grandfather. Now, I have much more to say, but let me quickly pause. Any questions? Let me look in the chat. Okay. Well, hang on. Let me see. Any questions here? Okay. Good. Okay.
Chris, skip
Okay.
all the COVID questions.
Yeah.
I'll put that there.
Yes. Yeah. Of course. Of course. Okay. Very good. Okay. So I'm not seeing any immediate questions there, but please put questions in the chat. I'm happy to answer questions. And perhaps Janice, please put my email in the chat, christopher.n.palmer@gmail.com, because some of you may have questions that you're too embarrassed to raise in the public forum. It's being recorded, so feel free to write to me offline, and I will help you.
Chris,
Yes.
there's a question down at the bottom. How would you adopt this for someone who is already approaching death due to a serious illness?
It's a Randall. Thank you for that question. It's a very difficult, because if someone is approaching death, that means they might be cognitively impaired. It might means they're likely to be physically impaired, obviously, and so they don't have the energy. I had lunch with a friend of mine who has an electric typewriter on the top floor, but he's too frail to bring it down. He wants to get rid of it, but he doesn't know how to do it because he can't carry it. It's too heavy. So it's very hard to do. Don't make that mistake. Don't wait. Don't wait till you're near death. I mean, do it when you've got vigor and strength. Don't wait till you clear things out, because what you don't want is some strong, bulk, muscly man coming in with a green bag and just throwing everything in there. Arbitrarily. You want to have more control over what of your belongings. So I don't know. If you have a serious illness and you're approaching death, I don't know. It's too late. Because you don't have the strength to clear out your house, and that's a terrible situation to leave your kids in. So I don't have a good answer, Randall. I don't have a good answer to that excellent question. Jennifer says even middle-aged kids don't want anything except some weird items you never would anticipate. Jennifer, thank you. Very, very good point. So keep putting points in there, please. Now, the number one obstacle, it is 2:23. The number one obstacle to death cleaning and decluttering is procrastination, putting it off. Just thinking about your closets, attic, laundry room, garage, or office, and the amount of stuff in them can trigger intense feelings of overwhelm and stress that result in procrastination. So how do you declutter? How do you death clean when you don't feel like doing it, when you're procrastinating? So here are 3 ideas. Number 1, visualize the result. Close your eyes. Visualize your home without the clutter and junk, and feel viscerally how pleasant and joyful you find it. Number 2, remember the why. Remember, Viktor Frankl wrote in his famous book, Man's Search for Meaning, we can endure almost anything if we have a why. So remember the why. And third, death clean in increments. Break the task into small, manageable segments. Now, the first 2, visualize the results and remember the why, are pretty obvious. So let's focus on the third, death cleaning in increments and breaking the task into smaller, manageable segments. You don't have to death clean all at once. You can accomplish it over some months or even years, a little bit at a time. This is the way to do it. Perhaps start with the garage, then tackle clothes, followed by books, and so on. In this way, you can slowly but steadily death clean your home. Decluttering can be done in spurts, several times a week, 5 minutes here, 15 minutes there, and an occasional hour now and then. So declutter, one drawer, one drawer, one shelf or cabinet at a time to avoid being overwhelmed. To segment, break the job up, and make it a fun and pleasant experience. Put on music and enjoy the memories and celebrate small victories as you go along. When you declutter your first drawer, make yourself a cup of tea, call a friend, go for a walk, reward yourself. So declutter in stages by breaking the task into small, manageable segments. You can start with relatively easy stuff like clothes and end with harder stuff like sentimental items and photos. Another way to beat procrastination is to put decluttering on your calendar, just like an exercise class or a doctor's appointment. If you set aside time by making an appointment with yourself and setting a phone alarm reminder, you're more likely to follow through. Also, get a buddy, or have a friend or a spouse help you for an hour or two. Another way to get started is to use stickers to mark the items in a room like this. These stickers like this. Red stickers mean to toss. Green means to keep. And yellow means to donate. Put all the things with red stickers in a box and set them aside for 6 months to see if you miss them. If not, discard them. Another way to get started is to set a timer. Get a timer like this, a clock, little timer like this, and set it for 15 minutes and check. And in that 15 minutes, race to check all the items in your bathroom and kitchen, including makeup, toiletries, pantry items, and your medicine cabinet that are expired. Dump them. Medications, of course, need to be discarded responsibly. But if all those ways to overcome procrastination don't work, reach out for help. Many services have emerged to declutter houses. I'm going to send you some. I'm going to send, not in my talk today, but I'm going to send you some other handouts, which will give you lots of leads for these services. Many services have emerged to declutter houses, like from clutter busters to professional organizers like Potomac Concierge, to firms affiliated with real estate companies that help people downsize from homes to condos and assisted living. Okay, I have much more to say, but let me quickly check. Okay, so Randall may beget others, even if you have to pay to help do a quick decline. Good idea, Randall. Good idea. Rushner, at what stage should one start decluttering, death cleaning? Today, now, Rushner. Don't put it off. Don't procrastinate. Just do a little a day. So, what age you start decluttering, death cleaning? Right away. I mean, no reason to. You don't put it. Death and dying not in our control unless one is suffering from a terminal illness. Okay, so I've written a whole book about this, achieving a good death. By the way, there's a whole chapter in here on death cleaning. This book is very helpful dealing with this question. And we have more control over than you think. Don't forget, John Adams and Thomas Jefferson died on the same day, 50 years, July the 4th, 1826, 50 years after the Declaration of Independence. We have more control than you'd think. Okay, that's a subject for another time. Okay. So, and Jeanette answers Randall, I would suggest hiring a person who specializes in decluttering like a professional organizer. There are lots of them in the DVD. Yes, and I'll send you some leads on that. Good, thank you. Denise, part of the problem is the remembering. Going down memory lane takes a while, and one finds the day has. Yeah, and enjoy it. I mean, that's one of the feedback. Put on music, get a cup of tea, and so on. But also enjoy the memories as you pick up each item. Just wallow in the memories, enjoy them. If it's a sentimental item, take a picture, because the memories are not in the object; they're in the mind, and a photo can help you do that. So you don't have to keep everything, But Denise, thanks for that study. Stephanie Covell, suggestions on how to help someone living with Alzheimer's navigate the decluttering. But that's Alzheimer's is a horrific disease, can last 14 years, and so my answer to this, Stephanie, is to do it when they have mild Alzheimer's, mild dementia. Don't wait till they have moderate dementia, not obviously advanced dementia when their mind is gone. So so to start early, start today. That's the thing to do. But someone with mild dementia still has mental capacity, cognitive capacity, and they can help and even enjoy it. Okay, so let me quickly go on. So how do we? It is 2:30. How do we declutter our homes or apartments? How do we do this? So here's my 8-part process. You don't worry about taking notes. You can you'll get my prepared remarks, which are enormously detailed. So you'll find it very helpful. But let me just quickly say, here's my 8-part process. Number one, start. This is so obvious, but so people don't people forget it. Start by clearing out the trash. Oh my gosh. Remove trash. That's so important. Number one. Number two, choose a small area to organize, like a drawer. Just start with a small area or even a segment in that drawer. Create 3 piles. 3 piles. Keep, donate, and toss. With each item you're considering, decide which pile it goes in. Meaningful things stay. Things that are meaningful stay. Useful items no longer wanted are donated, and useless stuff goes in the trash or recycle. Number four, find a specific home. I've mentioned this already. I want to mention it again. Find a specific home for everything you intend to keep. For example, a small drawer for your keys and wallet. I'm just amazed how people dump their keys and wallets anywhere. No, don't do that. Put your keys and wallet in one specific, highly specific place. You always know where it is, so you don't have to do that whole thing. Oh, where are my keys? Where I've lost my keys. No, don't fill your life with crap like that. Put your wallet and keys in a set place where you know where they are always. Okay. So find a specific home for everything you tend to keep. Okay, number five, group similar items together so you always know where to find them. For example, store all cans of soup in the same place. Don't have them spread around. Organize your belongings so that like objects live together. Not most of them, but all of them. That means keeping all your tools in a toolbox and not leaving a stray screwdriver in the kitchen. And let's not be dogmatic. Yes, so you may want to leave a screwdriver on the 3rd floor because it's easier to reach. So that's fine. So I don't want to be dogmatic about it, but generally, I'm talking in generally, keep your tools all in the same place. Keep life things together. Okay, number 6, if you buy something, try to eliminate something else to limit items coming into your house. One in, one out. Okay, number 7, if you're tempted to overlook a particular box or corner of a room, think how relieved you will feel when that box or stack of paper is processed, reduced, or even eliminated instead of claiming precious space in your life. Number 8, use clear containers. Clear containers. So you can see what's inside them, and drawer dividers like here's a drawer divider. They're so useful. These drawer dividers, you can get them easily on Amazon. But these are ways of keeping drawers organized. I don't know how well you can see, but this is, whoa, wait a minute. Can you see? Wait a minute. Okay, so look, can you see this in my drawer? Can you see this? See that? No, can you see it? Yeah. Oh, can you see that? Not very. Whoa, not very easy. But look at my drawer. Look, see that? See how can you see that? How organized that is? Okay, I'm not sure that's working. I just wanted to show you. Okay, so let me quickly pause. Let me quickly pause for questions. Let's see. Okay. Okay, also, hell, Catherine Ryan, that's swooped. Okay, very good. Jennifer, thanks. That's a great leaf. Everybody, write that down. That's good. Randall, Oh yes, they're not cheap. No, you have to pay for it. Okay, I don't see any more questions there. Now, what I want to do now is people keep putting questions in the chat, or anybody had any questions. Whoa, you can't see me. Sorry. Okay, sorry. There we go. Okay, so now what I would do if I had more time, what I would do is focus on specific areas and topics, but they are in my prepared remarks. So when you get my talk, you can, if you're concerned about your kitchen or your study, piles of paper or photographs, you have a particular area that you're concerned about, you can look at my talk and get guidance on it. So what I would, if I had more time, what I would normally do is focus now on things like clothes, how to handle clothes, kitchens, mail, photos, sentimental possessions, papers, and so on. And I've got a section in my talk on how to avoid children quarreling over your or what things they want in your estate. Incredibly important not to let that happen. And how to maintain a clutter-free home. So, but because we're short of time, I'm going to jump over a bunch of pages and go to the end of my talk. I want to end by talking about how to maintain a clutter-free home. Maintain it. So maintaining a clutter-free home is not just about tidying up occasionally. It's a continuous process that involves changing your mindset and developing good habits. So here are some points to keep in mind. Number one, obviously start with a decluttering session. Before you can maintain a clutter-free home, you need to declutter your space. So go through every room in your house and assess what you need and use. Be ruthless in eliminating items you haven't used in the past year and no longer serve a purpose. Okay, number two, mentioned this already, I'll say it again, one in, one out rule. Whenever you bring a new item into your home, I said this already, I'm saying it again, make it a rule to remove an old one. This will help prevent new clutter from accumulating. Number three, designate, I've mentioned this before, I mentioned it again because it's so important. Designate a place or home for everything. Every item in your house should have a designated home. This makes it easier to put things away and reduces the likelihood of items ending up in random places. Number four, do a nightly tidy up. All of you, try and do this tonight. Before you go to bed, just tidy up the house a bit. Take 10 minutes or less each evening to return items to their proper place. This small habit can make a big difference in maintaining a clutter-free home. Number five, regular maintenance. Set aside a specific time each day or week. You might even want to put it on your calendar for a quick decluttering session. Spend 5, 10, 15 minutes tidying up and returning things to their designated homes. Number six, use storage solutions. Invest in storage solutions that help you keep things organized. This can include shelves, cabinets, bins, and drawer dividers. Make sure these solutions fit your space and are easy to use. And let me repeat a fundamental issue. Get out, remove trash and garbage before you organize. Getting rid of trash comes before getting organized. Number seven, digitize paperwork. Minimize paper clutter by digitizing important documents. Scan receipts, bills, and paperwork and store them digitally. This reduces physical clutter and makes it easier to find what you need. Number eight, practice the one touch rule. You've all read about this in productivity books. Practice the one touch rule. When you pick up an item, make a decision about it right away. Either put it back where it belongs or discard it. Avoid the procrastination mindset. Oh, I'll deal with that later. Don't do that. Make a decision. Get rid of it or put it back where it belongs. Number nine, start a donation station. This is a very good idea. Get an old laundry basket and put it somewhere in your bedroom and have it. It's where you put things to be recycled. So when you see a shirt you haven't worn, instead of just leaving it hanging up in your closet, take it out, put it in that basket, because then you start accumulating things to give away. So start a donation station or a basket. Designate a spot in your home or your bedroom or somewhere for items that are to be donated. If you find something you no longer need or want, add it to the station or to the basket and regularly visit a local charity. Number 10, be mindful of sentimental items. As we discussed, sentimental items can be challenging to declutter. Instead of keeping everything, select a few items with the most meaning and display them prominently. Consider taking photos, I mentioned this before, consider taking photos of sentimental items before letting them go. Number 11, involve the whole family. Involve the whole family. If you share your home with others, involve them in decluttering. If you can, encourage family members to adopt the same decluttering habits and keep common areas clutter-free. But I said before, we're on different points in this spectrum, and we need to be gentle and respectful to people who have different standards than our own. So at least in your own home, you can on your own areas, you can keep organized. Number 12, regularly purge your wardrobe. Keep your wardrobe in check by periodically going through your clothes. Right now I have 7 suits. That is, I'm 78. I have 7 suits. That is ridiculous. I don't need 7 suits. And I've got about 35 shirts. This is ridiculous. I don't need 35 shirts. I need to get rid of them. So purge your wardrobe, and I need to do that. I'm talking to myself here. I need to do that. So if you haven't worn an item in the past year, consider donating it or selling it. And finally, number 13, seek professional help if needed. I discussed this answering a question a minute ago. If you struggle with decluttering or have a hoarding tendency, consider seeking the help of a professional organizer or a therapist to address the underlying issues. Let me quickly look for the questions because it is 2:40 and I've got a tennis match starting in 20 minutes, so I need to rush. Okay, so I may need, okay. And then Jennifer, what do you suggest when you have too many of a particular kind of thing, but each item has something in its favor? Yeah, that's a challenge. That's a challenge, Jennifer. So feel free. I can work with you on that. So write to me. Did you put my email address in the Janet? Did you put my email address in the? I didn't see it. Janet, please put my email address for everybody in the chat, please. Christopher.n.palmer@gmail.com. Thank you, Janet. Okay, and so let me just finish by saying I asked you all to remember that maintaining a clutter-free home is an ongoing process. It's not a one-time thing, it's an ongoing process. By implementing these strategies, the ones I've just mentioned, and making them a part of your daily routine, you can create and sustain a clutter-free living space that promotes a sense of calm and well-being. So I'll send you my talk through Janet. I'll send you my talk. Thanks, Janet. I see you put my email address in. Thanks, Janet, very much. I'll send you my talk. I'll send it to Janet, and Janet will send it on to all of you. So you have it for reference. There's a lot more detail in my prepared remarks than I've had a chance to say today. So you'll find it very, very helpful. It contains much more than I had time, as I said, to cover today. So please look at it. I'll also send you 2 handouts on decluttering. And so let me end by saying that the goal with decluttering and death cleaning is to discover what you have that is of real and enduring value. It isn't to create a spotless or perfect home. No, that is not what we're after at all. But we want a home that's filled with warmth, with purpose, with meaning, and with peace. That is the point of decluttering and deathly, not neatness for neatness sake, not spotless or anything like that. No, it's a home where you can pursue what matters most to you. Thank you all so much for paying attention and sorry to be right, Misha. I'm going to run to my tennis match, but thank you so much for having me. Thank you all so much for listening so attentively. Thank you for those great questions. You've got my email. Feel write to me if you have a question that I help with. My website, chrispalmeronline.com. Janet, you might put that in the email in the chat as well. chrispalmeronline.com. Lots of free handouts there. Help yourselves, including on death cleaning and and decluttering. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Misha, it's an honor to
Thank you.
be
Thank
here.
you, Chris.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here with you. I'm so grateful to you and Janet, and I'm so grateful to Alyssa Parker for introducing me to you a few years ago. It's been a wonderful relationship. I'm so grateful for you having me, and I will bid you all farewell. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, Chris.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so we're not going to have time for the additional topics because we're already quarter hour before the end. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a couple minutes for your questions and then we'll do the mind body. If you're my patient, you have questions, stay after as usual when we finish recording and most people leave. So let's go back to questions, starting with Jacqueline's questions. I don't really care which vaccine you get. There's no difference. They're basically the same. Get the first one you find available. The only difference is, or the only way you should think about this, if you had one shot that gave you a lot of side effects previously, do consider get the other one. That's the only thing I would say. Otherwise, there's not a lot of difference. So Randall asking, great question, because obviously any healthcare intervention is a balance check, side effects versus benefit, right? So I talked about the benefits of the shot. I didn't say anything about the side effects. I'm going to give you the side effect that's probably being discussed the most, and that's probably has the highest risk, which is an ischemic stroke in people over 65. I'm going to put this study in the bracket. Unfortunately, I believe that does not apply to the last year. This applies to 2 years ago. So they've used, we don't know, we don't have a data of the same magnitude, of the same complexity for the last year's booster, but nonetheless, this is for 2023. So basically, if you read this carefully, you have about one chance in 100,000, or one in for 100,000 vaccines given, there is an additional one risk of one person who's going to have a stroke. It's not actually exactly one. It's kind of, I think, like 0.7, so 70% increase from that one person. So, if the base population has one person in 100,000 getting a stroke, that within, I think, few days after, within a month or something after the vaccine increased the risk by about one other person. So versus death saving was about two people for 10,000. So you're looking at about 200-fold difference between the side effect and the benefit. So it's it's a big difference. So now that also means that if you're one out of 100,000 who had a stroke, but the numbers are small both ways. So take that for however you want to take. I'm not here to sell you anything. My point is to share the data and you make a decision. Hopefully this helps. Let's check out other questions. Chris did a great job as always, although honestly, he's so fast that I have a hard time sometimes following him, but I love that. I love his power and enthusiasm and passion towards this topic, which I think is a critical topic, heavily underrepresented in our over-medicalized, and I don't want to hear anything about death society. So it's such a breath of fresh air here. All right. Right. Okay. Okay. I'm just seeing some comments. How would you adopt this for someone who's already approaching death okay, I think that was for Chris. Even managed kids don't want. Yeah, right. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Good. Okay. That's it, right? No one has any COVID questions? Okay. All right, so I'll save the topic for next week, but let me show you what I wanted. Well, I wanted to actually give me 2 minutes. I do want to present this because it'll be kind of late by next week. So, congratulations to us. Our 5 years of work in field of medical cannabis education panned out. So this is probably the most influential paper in the field of medical cannabis in 2025. So this is an article in JAMA, and you'll see some familiar names on the article. basically, this summarizes our work in saying that we created the set of competencies. Competency is the way medical schools assess that the student is ready to enter the workforce, that they're ready to practice. So we hope that in years to come, the organization that oversees all the medical schools in America and Canada, called AAMC, will adopt this as a requirement so that every medical student graduating from US or Canadian undergraduate medical education, regular medical school, will have some basic knowledge. What is medical cannabis? What its benefits? What its side effects? Etc. Etc. So paper came out on Tuesday. We yet to see a substantial media tracking, although I did give a small presentation recently about it, and so several of my colleagues who were part of the study have started engaging. So hopefully this will trickle out. Why the study is important for everyone? Well, because I think it will push better education nationwide. I think it will also give policymakers a more concrete way of thinking about how the process of legalizing medical cannabis should continue, because you can't really legalize the substance of this magnitude without teaching everybody how to use it. I think that would be a major problem. But now that we have a template on how to do it, we hope that most medical schools in America within the next couple of years will adapt these recommendations, and they will start designing courses so that their students can learn. And with that, I'm going to stop because we only have 10 minutes. So I'll ask you to get comfortable. If you need to lay down, go ahead. We've done similar practice before. I'm going to make it a little bit different today. This is those of you who practice heart math or who practice any Buddhist practices related to the heart centering, of course, know this. But make sure that if you're sitting, make sure your back is reasonably straight. Don't slouch too much. But if you're laying down, that's perfectly fine. And you have two options. You can put the heart or your right hand on your heart if you prefer, or if you need to, you need to tune into your pulse. So you can also put your hand on the neck, see if you can pick up your pulse. You can also just simply put the hand on your radial pulse and see if you can pick that up. Or if you don't want to deal with a pulse, don't worry about it. Just start centering your breath. If you are feeling your pulse, begin to syncing your breath with your heart. Don't count anything. That's not what this practice is about. Just tune into your beating heart. Those of you who joined the September 20th Beating Heart AIMS event may remember some of the teachings and some of the music by Fred. So if that helps you to center on your heart, that's wonderful. Okay, now that we all a bit more centered and clear with our next 5 to maybe 8 minutes of practice, begin to concentrate your attention on your heart. With each inhale, imagine that you're breathing directly into your heart, and then when you exhale out through the heart. It's easiest to breathe in and out of the nose. Alternatively, you can inhale through your mouth and exhale through your nose. Begin to slow down your breath just a little bit. If you're feeling your pulse, you can feel how pulse slightly slowing down when you exhale and slightly speeds up when you inhale deeply. This is the heart rate variability, HRV. Now that we're comfortable with this, let's add some positive state. So we're going to inhale into our hearts a state of love, state of compassion, state of admiration, or simply a state of comfort. If you're a visual person, feel free to imagine your favorite place. Maybe you want to imagine being next to your favorite being. Doesn't have to be a human, could be a being. Maybe it's your dog or a cat. So we are inhaling this positive state into our heart, holding it there during inhalation, and then releasing back on exhale. Do not try to hold on to that positive state. The idea is really the exchange, to bring in the positivity and then give it back after it's magnified through your heart. The power of this practice lies in harvesting the fiery, up-swinging heart's energy. If you, when you were starting this practice, if you felt uneasy or there's some emotional component that's been weighing on you, or maybe there is some hesitancy or frustration or anger, so this is perfect time to take that. Inhale positivity, transform that negativity, and then when you exhale, you release the positivity back into the world, and then you start the new cycle again. If you do this practice long enough, you may notice different sensations in the chest and in the heart. You may get a little tingling, you may have a little discomfort, you may even feel a little sore. Well, that's because the heart will remind you there is always a deeper layer of stuff, of baggage that we've collected over the years. Maybe a trauma, maybe there is something more physical with your heart and lung. Maybe there's a heartache from separation or from something else. So this is a good place to let it go, to bring in that positivity, however it feels to you. And let's take maybe 3 more breaths here, slowing each breath a little bit more. Begin to slowly come back. Wiggle your toes, stretch your back a little bit. Thank you, everybody. We're right on time. Next week, me again. Not getting breaks here, but that's okay. And then we'll have Michelle Clausen come back to us. She was just here. Great. It's great to have her back. And we'll see everybody next week. Again, a reminder, you need to talk to me, stay here. This only applies if you are my existing